From the NBC Tower in downtown Chicago, the doors of the chamber have been opened. We are on the road to WrestleMania. We have two big names backstage at Monday Night Raw. We have news about AEW Blood and Guts, and we have your comments on screen with the most interactive pro wrestling podcast at WrestleZone.com. This is The Daily. Say it with me now. What's up, everybody? I am Kevin Kellum. Give me a follow on the old Twitter machine at Kev Kellum. That is the undefeated. No sickness can hold him down. He's not down with the sickness, but he is determined. I'm talking about one Mr. Robert DeFelice in Tampa Bay, Florida, the home of this year's WrestleMania. We have so much to get into. So many faithful friends rejoining us once again here in the podcast. I love seeing these faithful friends. But if you're new, get your comments on screen with us live. If you're with us on the podcast side of things, go give us a review on whatever Twitter or whatever Twitter. Yeah, you get podcasts on Twitter? Whatever podcast thing you use, go give us a review on there. Search WrestleZone Radio. 4 episodes of WrestleZone daily every single week. Plus, we're going to start adding post shows on there. So hours and hours of free audio every week. We're also available now on YouTube, so you can check us out on the YouTube as well. A lot to get into on today's episode. We'll be talking about those two big names that are reportedly backstage at Monday Night Raw and how they could play into the road for WrestleMania. We'll also talk about AEW announcing the participants for Blood and Guts. Not War Games. It is not War Games. Robert, it is not War Games, correct?
It is not War Games, but they do want you to know that it's two teams of 4. There's 2 cages around the ring. This is war.
Just like War Games.
But it's not a game, Kev.
It's not a game.
Because the other channel, they do the games, they do the poppycock stuff.
Oh!
And we're not gonna do the games, Kev.
Yeah,
we're also not getting sued.
Yeah, a lot to get into. We're not going to get sued. We'll talk about all that. WWE Elimination Chamber was last night. You can check out our post show. Bill Pritchard was on that with us. If you didn't join us on that, let us know what you guys thought of the show. Sound off on that. Want to get your take on it. This is the final pay-per-view before WrestleMania. It set up some things. It started some new matches. I thought the first half of it was pretty strong. I thought the second half of it was sort of a letdown. Philadelphia did not seem to enjoy Shayna Baszler wrecking the Raw women's division and laying out the path for her and Becky Lynch, which we expected. On paper, if you told me they were going to do a match with a bunch of long pauses in it to simmer up and brew to her destroying every opponent that she had inside the chamber, I would be on board with it. In practice, it didn't work, but I did not think it was a bad pay-per-view overall. I thought it was a perfectly good and bad show with a bunch of mixed pieces, some good, some bad.
I think I was mostly salty about the lack of any reason to genuinely show concern or care. Bryan versus Gulak, I will start off with a positive, was a banger of an opener. It's going to go down in history as one of the best opening matches of all time, right up there with Bret and Owen, Rey Mysterio, Psychosis. Like, that match was so much fun. You transition into this tag team chamber and fun spot fest. Now, I don't want to take away anything from these 12 men. They told a lot. Heavy machinery is over like what? And my issue is Kofi Kingston's walking in the ring. And Michael Cole says, last year, Corey, this was the beginning of Kofi Mania. And it hit me. Why are we not talking about Kofi Kingston's next big Mania match? Why is he in chamber with Lindsay Dorado and Grand Metalik? Like, there's a tremendous disconnect between then and now. And the match itself was a banger. It was a great wrestling match. My thing is, it is March 9th, 2020, and a good wrestling match is not enough. Hold me with character. Hold me with
enough.
Because hold me with characters, Kev. You know, I mean, like, get me with the. I'm not doing the BROso bit.
Robert, I'm going to stuff this shot here. I'm going to Dikembe Mutombo you here. Especially with that match. I thought those tag teams showed off a bunch of different power that they have as teams. I thought they kept the storyline going with Otis and Dolph Ziggler, though I wish when Otis got his hands on Dolph Ziggler, he wrecked him, and he did not savor that up.
Isn't that weird? Like, he caught him like a baby, and then he just went...
And then he just snake cut.
Yeah, like...
on the cage. But I did think they kind of salvaged that not salvaged it, but I mean, that moment of Otis really running through the chamber and crashing to the outside was kind of neat. They got you to believe that Otis and Tucky could win this match, that Heavy Machinery could win it. And they went a different direction. They had a crafty finish. I enjoyed it. I liked it. I think you're tuning in now to nitpick. You got your tweezers out and you just want to go in there. I took it as fun match.
I'll say this. I'll give you some background as to why I feel this way. I binge watched the Ruthless Aggression documentary, and I realized that the stars that were built then, once they hit the main event threshold, they never looked back. Brock Lesnar never looked back. Randy Orton never looked back. Batista never looked back. Why are we not talking about Kofi Kingston's next big singles match? That parlayed into the next thing, which was Andrade and Humberto. So you're like, awesome. They're going to put the belt on this guy. They've done this match from Sean Ross Sapp. I think this is the seventh time they've fought each other.
Mind you, match was fun way too many times.
And then what's the payoff? Andrade wins again. So what did you establish? Now, nitpicks out of the way. I thought Black and AJ was fantastic. I thought the Undertaker thing did exactly what it was meant to do.
Jeff Howe agreeing with you. Texting in here saying Finn Balor helps AJ Styles at WrestleMania to beat the Undertaker. Oh, he's already fantasy booking.
You're fantasy booking.
Hey, let the story be told, okay?
I think this is a perfectly fine story. I wouldn't change a thing. Except I would have maybe, hit the gas on the road to Chamber with Black versus AJ so that it felt like a real down and dirty, like, let's get at it here.
The crowd lost their mind when they heard that gong.
Wouldn't you? Like,
yeah.
Another issue I had. We're 4 weeks out from Mania. Brock, Drew on one side, Goldberg, Roman on the other. No of these four individuals were anywhere near the show. But for Reigns and Goldberg especially, they replayed the lame "I'm next" promo from not even this past SmackDown, from the week prior. They've done nothing in the last 10 days to further Reigns versus Goldberg other than, doesn't it look cool on paper? And it does. But I want more than this looks nice on paper style of matchups. Speaking of on paper style matchups, we get to decide the Women's Elimination Chamber. And this is paint by numbers. Everybody knew Undertaker was going to... Undertaker, I'm reading the comment. Everybody knew Shayna Baszler was going to just wreck Shiz. And she did. Ran through all five of those women, even Asuka, in relatively record time. And it's like the man versus the Queen of Spades, right? We knew we were getting that, right? That's not a shock to anybody. Here's what I would have done. Simple nuance. And I know, who am I? I've never booked a thing. I get it. I had Becky Lynch run down there and beat the crap out of Shayna Baszler.
Yeah, I wanted to see some of Becky Lynch on this show. I think the live crowd would like it. And then the pay-per-view audience would have liked it as well. Yeah,
like, she's the man, right? Baszler's in a cage, and she's slamming Baszler against the cage, and it's like, let's go. You didn't get that. It was just, we'll see you tomorrow, everybody.
I think there could have been done more. But I did think there was some great stuff on the pay-per-view. I enjoyed the tag team match with the SmackDown tag team. I think it did a lot of favors, besides Otis Neal not savoring the moment to smash Dolph. Thought it was a really, really great match. Of the chamber matches, far superior than the other one. And they used the chamber to do a lot of fun things. Lindsay Dorado is crazy, by the way, crawling all the way up to the top of the chamber. A lot of core strength there. I thought Daniel Bryan and Drew Gulak, if you love technical, hard-hitting, strong-style wrestling, you got a barn burner. I think this is one of the strongest opening matches on a WWE Network pay-per-view special in a long, long time, and they didn't need a chamber to do it. I thought it was that damn good. Now, I don't think they've built up to it too much, but it is one of these shows that kind of exceeds your expectations. You're waiting for WrestleMania. So now here we are at WrestleMania, and you mentioned it. There were a lot of big names not on this pay-per-view. Roman Reigns, Goldberg, not there. Brock Lesnar, not there. John Cena, The Fiend, not there. So with what they had, I thought they did quite a bit. I don't think it was an awful show. I wouldn't describe it as the best. If you want to talk to me about best shows at the end of the year, this may not be on the list. But on paper, WrestleMania is still looking pretty strong. We'll get into what's going on with them and those two big names that are on Monday Night Raw within today's podcast. But let's get into a little bit of AEW news. We talked about it, AEW Blood Guts. It's basically a big pay-per-view level marquee match on free television. They've been doing this quite a bit as they don't have nearly as much pay-per-view as their competitor WWE. All Elite Wrestling bringing a special episode of Dynamite Blood and Guts to New Jersey, a huge arena. They've already got a great house there. They announced big shows coming up in New Mexico and New Orleans recently. But this one seems to be the fast lane they have. March 25th in New Jersey, a War Games match that we can't call War Games.
I have, as you're speaking, you said there was a pay-per-view episode of Dynamite. And a light bulb went off, Kev.
Mm-hmm.
Is it stupid to do this match on Dynamite? Now, follow me here. You have branded this thing Blood and Guts.
Yep.
Based on a term that Vince McMahon said following Double or Nothing.
Which I found, I was at the last AEW pay-per-view. I was at Revolution, and I had a really great time. And it's a great show. But there is this air within the culture of AEW that everything is in spite of WWE.
For sure.
And this came off as not even crafty or clever. It came off as petty, you know? And it doesn't do any favors to the guys that are in the match, you know? There's different names. You could have called it Rage in the Cage. You could have called it a bunch of different things. And it would have been more effective. Blood and Guts, all right. I mean, now someone's got to bleed and they got to do it.
Hold on. And you took the punchline away from me, Kev, because Tony Khan said, we like bleeding on pay-per-view. We'll never do it on TV. You cannot call a match Blood and Guts and not have these 8 guys bleed buckets all over the ring.
I don't need to see guts, but I need to see some blood. You know, red equals green, baby. Red equals ratings.
You're forgetting the guts are the guts inside the competitors. When Nick Jackson decides that he's going to do a triple jump moonsault off the top of the cage, that's the guts. I want the blood. We're going to get the guts either way. I want the blood.
Let's see what fans are thinking here. Tell me the competitors to this match here as I line up a couple of texts to get here.
Yes, the competitors for this match. Cody, Hangman Page, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks. The Elite at full power. Full power Elite for the first time in AEW.
That sounds like an anime show, you know? Full power Elite.
That's right. It is. And on the other side, on the evil side, we have the inner circle of Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, Sammy Guevara, and Proud and Powerful.
It's a great match. I'm excited for it. How do you think they're going to build this up? Because when they introduced the Inner Circle, they had them lay out the Elite. Elite has been a faction, but they've been able to have matches against each other. The best match of the Revolution pay-per-view was that tag team match with Bucks versus Hangman and Omega. It was absolutely fantastic. Maybe one of the best tag team matches I've ever seen. But now, here we are just a few short weeks later. They're once again a faction. They're reminding you they're a faction. This is why you got into All Elite Wrestling to begin with. The Elite, the group. You have to be reminded that they're a united front, even though some people think Hangman's going to turn on them. And then you have the Inner Circle. How do you build this storyline? Because you're still doing Moxley versus Jericho at some point. They're still keeping that hot. There's a lot of different storylines they're balancing here. Are we getting a match that is just a really cool match that'll splinter off and set up a bunch of different things? Because I see it going in that direction.
Honestly, I think this is a one-off. Outside of anything involving Hangman Page, we already know that Cody has Jake the Snake Roberts and his future client in the back of his mind. Jericho is still obsessed with Moxley and the belt.
Mm-hmm. That piece of shit.
The main the main focal point is going to be Kenny, Hangman, and the Bucks. Can they hold on? Maybe Proud and Powerful gets a tag title match out of this. We'll see going forward. I just want to see a really intense match. If I had to guess, we will get the rules on this Wednesday's.
Wait, you just want to see an intense match, but where are the characters, Robert? Isn't that what just happened?
No. You're not turning my own words against me. See, I got this. Because I
just did.
Because they already established that these two groups have had beef since August. So they have beef. The beef is there. We're going to see them get a big match, which should be taking place on pay-per-view. But obviously they want a buy rate. They want not a buy rate, but a rating.
They want a rating. I think this is an attempt by Dynamite when they run a big market. They're basically running New York City if you're running New Jersey.
Don't ever say that again. I'll let you slide.
Hey, I go to the Allstate Arena in Rosemont, Illinois. They say it's in Chicago. I know the difference. All right, so calm down. All right, it's not an attack at you.
Fair enough, Kevin.
All right, is Governor Cuomo going to be on the line from the? Please
don't make me call Cuomo, Kev.
Okay, Cuomo.
This phone is powerful.
If you're joining us for the first time, we are talking everything wrestling. This is WrestleZone Daily on the stream. Don't forget to get your comments on screen here. We'll get into everything going on with this week's Raw. We'll also get your questions on this show as well. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. If you can't hear everything we do, maybe you just watch for a few minutes on the video form. Get the WrestleZone Radio podcast. 4 episodes of the daily every single week and bonus content. We're digging into both sides of the big legal issue involving Jim Cornette. That's right, a real lawsuit. We're talking to both lawyers in this lawsuit, and both those.
Shout out to Dom, man, Dominic D'Angelo.
Dom is our new legal expert.
Yeah. When that happened, I followed this tepidly, and I do know that Stephen P. New likes to sue, and that G. Raver is just in it to piss off Cornette. But here's the thing. I wish that people would leave poor cranky old Uncle Jim. Just let him be cranky on his porch.
If you want to go down the wormhole with this, Dominic did a great job on his coverage of it on our website, WrestleZone, and in the podcast feed. Go check out those interviews. His interview with G. Raver, the independent wrestler who's being sued by Jim Cornette, and he interviewed Jim Cornette's lawyer as well. So it's very, very entertaining in the sense of just legal drama. So we will get into all of things in the podcast feed. We'll cover a little bit more here coming out of Elimination Chamber. We're now dead set towards WrestleMania. WrestleMania on paper has a lot of big matches, but people sometimes question the build to WrestleMania, but you can't deny the business power that WrestleMania has, as WWE has just announced a big extended long-term deal with Mars, Wrigley, and Snickers. It's one of the biggest candy companies in the world. They've been in active work with them for several years now, and this will continue that agreement. And of course, this will involve Snickers once again with WrestleMania. I know they'll be doing some type of content around that week, and Skittles will be the sponsor of Hell in a Cell. Are we gonna have Skittles rain down from the top of the cell on somebody?
You know what? Taste the rainbow. Taste the fire. You know what I'm saying?
We could rerun those commercials for years. Some of those commercials I've seen on Raw for a long, long time.
Now, if you guys are old school fans, Ruthless Aggression era fans, I'm waiting. I want Skittles to be sponsoring AEW, just so Jim Ross can have a conniption fit about how much he loves fruity, delicious, fruity Skittles. That's what I'm waiting for, Kevin.
Pretty ridiculous here, man. A lot of people people saying I eat a lot of Snickers. I don't eat a lot of Snickers. I eat a lot of Polish sausage. I'm from Chicago, baby. Billy Goat. When you're in town, go eat at Billy Goat. That's the spot. Other things we're following at WrestleZone.com. WWE has announced, obviously with fears of the coronavirus, it's everywhere. And they've said last week that they are still dead set on having the event and are taking all the necessary precautions. One of those precautions is instituting a new policy at meet and greets. WrestleMania access tends to be a big part of fans that travel in for WrestleMania and they want to meet their favorite superstars. and get their pictures and pay for all those meet and greets. It's a big part of it. It's always something I hear about people tweeting every week, every WrestleMania week. They've instituted a no touching policy. And this followed up on other meet and greets they've held recently with Undertaker and Braun Strowman at the big event in New York City. And they did not have the usual fan connection. Braun would be doing fist bumps, and they were otherwise unable to shake hands with fans or get in close photos.
Now, what this says to me, Kevin, is that Maxwell Jacob Friedman has been right all along. He's instituted a no-touch policy at every meet and greet he does. He doesn't want to be touched by your grubby hands. I think, like, in all seriousness, everybody's scared. You know, we got the typical fear that comes when you have a new virus announced. And it's a smart policy to have. Especially in Tampa, where there are several reported cases of coronavirus.
I'm in Chicago, and they reported more today as well. But I know there's fear about it, but I think some of it's overstated. And we learned earlier today the entire country of Italy has been put on lockdown. The entire
country of Italy. You know what that means? It means no pasta ever again in life. Like
cutting it off. There's a wall between us and the Italian food. We're no marinara. Okay.
No marinara.
All right.
You know, we're gonna have plenty of marinara looking when we have blood and guts.
Blood and guts.
You know, I saw this comment from Anna Williams earlier in the show. Daniel Bryan. A lot of people ran with this because it's tongue in cheek, but after his match with.
He did a backstage interview last night.
He's like, I want to fight with blood and guts. And Drew Gulak made me fight with blood and guts. And I want blood and guts. Like, he just hammered home blood and guts. I like it. Good stuff.
All right, so let's get in the big story of the day. Obviously, we're doing this show before Monday Night Raw, and we will have a Raw post show tonight with Dominic D'Angelo. I'm going to start adding those to the podcast feed as well, so you can listen to them as a separate episode. So, WZ Daily, we cover the big news of the day. So sometimes it's Terminator timeline, if you will. If you're enjoying this afterwards, you may or may not have known what happened on Monday Night Raw, but let's get into it. The Undertaker is backstage at Monday Night Raw. This is being reported by PWI Insider. Of course, he was present last night at Philadelphia PA's Elimination Chamber pay-per-view and helped Aleister Black defeat AJ Styles and laid out the OC. He did this at the Super Showdown, second choke slam in a row. Do we get a showdown here between Styles and Undertaker? A match that WrestleZone broke just a few weeks ago. It looks like
we did.
WrestleMania. Phenom versus the Phenomenal One.
Boy, that writes itself, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seems like a given that this will be the match. Right? Wouldn't it be weird though if it was just like, and this is something I don't want to see happen. A lot of people are like, I don't want to see Undertaker in the ring ever again, 1-on-1. Put him with Black, make it a 3-on-2. I don't want that.
Yeah, there was a lot of people talking about that in the post show last night. The idea of Aleister Black kind of being inserted as a supporting character in this storyline.
No,
you're not for it.
Do not take away from the magic that is the Undertaker at WrestleMania.
Do you have Aleister Black in his corner at WrestleMania?
No. No man is ever truly good. No man is ever truly evil. They don't need to coexist. I mean, you know, if we're gonna have anybody in the Undertaker's corner, Kevin, I would have Sting, because Sting can eventually fight the Undertaker, Kevin. Let's
do the rest of the show.
All right, this is my show now, so we're gonna go.
No, it's fine. My camera went all wonky here on me, Robert. Why don't you keep him going here on this conversation? I'll be right back with you.
See, look at that. Kevin tries to do a bit. The camera goes wonky. I like the idea of Taker helping Black, but I don't think as a unit, I don't think it functions properly. You know, I want to see Undertaker versus AJ 1-on-1 because I think that at the end of the day, that's the best way to do it.
All right. Can you hear me on the camera mic? Am I on the camera mic or this?
No, you're on the microphone. You're on the microphone.
I'm the regular mic that I'm talking into now?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Our streaming provider has been difficult with audio issues recently. All right, so yeah, I bump into one thing and we're off air. But let's get into it. Undertaker tonight on Raw. Do you do something with him in terms of physicality, or do you limit that as much as possible before we get to WrestleMania? Because we've already had him put his hands on Styles twice.
Yeah, I think he's gotten physical twice. He's probably done more already than he ever did to build up the match with John or Roman, which says something about the respect that he has for AJ Styles and his ability. But I really want to see Undertaker cut a promo now. I like when Undertaker, and we got a lot of this last week with Jake. Yeah. Jake had me like, I was covered in goosebumps. I'm sitting here covered in Dynamite, and Jake had me in goosebumps. And I think that Undertaker can be the same tonight, live from the great city of... They're not Pittsburgh this week. Where are they this week? I almost said Pittsburgh.
DC.
That's next week.
Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C. Site of the first Dynamite. And we're not just getting the Undertaker, Kevin. We're getting a man known as the Rated R Superstar.
That is right. Edge is the other big superstar that is backstage tonight at Raw. I think he's a part of arguably the most emotional storyline going into this year's WrestleMania. Of course, appeared at Royal Rumble, another story that WrestleZone broke for you. And that was the biggest story coming out of the Rumble. Not who won it, but that Edge was back. And the next night on Raw, Randy Orton lays him out and smashes him with a chair and gets a huge visceral response. That son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch.
And then he ends Matt Hardy in WWE. Matt Hardy giving the honors to him on the way out of the company. And just last week, laid out Beth Phoenix in another segment where I was yelling at the TV. They got me. And I'm enjoying it. But is Edge coming back too soon for WrestleMania?
Hell no. Jesus, I've seen people come back from so much worse, so much quicker. The man put his hand... Kevin, you have a significant other. If somebody was to sit there and viciously drive their head into wood and plywood and canvas, I wouldn't even wait for television. I'd find them in their home and send that video to World Star.
If you put your hands on the love of my life, all right? If you put your hands on her, just your hands, I would crawl. I would crawl if I couldn't walk. All right? I would pay any dollar to bring me to you, to just claw at you, to do whatever I physically could to respond and defend those that I love. So under the circumstances, I get the logic. If Edge didn't come back this week, he would look like a completely disingenuous competitor.
Yeah, I mean, we had an incident I worked there 12 years ago with Michael's wife. Got punched in the face by Jericho, and Sean didn't even
That was not meant to be like a straight shot either.
Yeah, and he punched her legit in the mouth.
Yeah.
And Sean didn't even do anything. Granted, the next month he beat the crap out of Jericho, but I would probably say Edge should have found Randy at his house. This is real life. Edge would find Randy at his house.
They've done those before. That's sort
of with Randy, in fact, because
they did that with Triple H 10 years ago. So I think keeping everything in the ring, because the reactions for this in terms of those live crowds, there's nothing like it. Those live crowds are losing their mind when Randy comes out there now because of what he did. James Espanto Fernando Robert Booker. Does Edge get payback tonight? Does he get his comeuppance? I say that slithery snake man Randy Orton gets away. We got to save that for WrestleMania.
I don't think we're completely saving it for Mania. I think Edge goes too far. I think Edge has to be physically pulled off of Randy Orton. I think we're getting these two in a no holds barred. And you could even go a step further. You could do last man standing. I'm gonna beat you till you can't stand. But they're gonna have a gimmick.
Oh, there's no way you just have a regular match here.
I mean, like
you talk about those matches where we have a bitter feud, so now we're gonna have this gimmick to it, right? They did the no DQ match with Styles and Aleister Black, and this is the thing that did aggravate me instantly, but they got away from it, and I was fine with it. They started off with a headlock. it was like it's no DQ. Grab something, smash him with it. Anything can happen. I think with this situation that makes it okay. Edge has a history with tables, ladders, and chairs. That makes it okay.
Right.
So I'm on board.
I keep going back to a ladder. Like, I have physical anxiety over the idea of Edge ever climbing a ladder, but at the same time, the diehard in me is like, yeah, you don't need your health. Climb that ladder. Do those crazy matches again. Damn it, just do all of it.
Kevin Durgan's saying Hell in a Cell. They need to go to Hell in a Cell. And they brought out Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania before.
Edge can go to Hell in a Cell with Randy, and they could probably be the only two individuals not named Undertaker or Triple H to get away with doing Hell in a Cell.
I was at that Hell in a Cell match in 2012 at WrestleMania with Undertaker and Triple H.
It was good, right? It was
one of the best live matches I've seen at a WrestleMania. Like, just the reactions were insane through the roof. Logan Blade Texan said, Edge is going to catch that son of a bitch, Randy Orton. Yes. Snake of a bitch. That's what he is. He's a snake of a bitch.
And he's a snake. He slithers. He's very, but when Randy Orton is motivated, you can legitimately feel the fire in each one of his movements. When Randy's coasting, like, you feel it. But when Randy is motivated, I'm sorry. You know what, Beth, you don't love him. I love him because you're enabling his psychotic behavior. I mean, like, I'm sure there's a bunch of middle-aged fangirls writing fan fiction with that one line alone. But like,
Randy loves me more.
That's right. And by God, they're gonna fight at Mania, and I'm excited for it.
I love that you had a middle age.
Well, at this point, with Randy and Edge, probably.
You had to add that part. Yeah. Oh man. Oof. Dude, if you go down that wormhole, WWE fanfic is hilarious to read. Like, hilarious.
It's definitely a wormhole.
Yeah. Sound off here. What do you guys think? Undertaker versus AJ Styles, Edge versus Orton, many other big matches set for WrestleMania. Obviously, tonight, I think we'll have a better idea of maybe some WWE Hall of Fame news will be announced. I know they're going to announce a WWE Hall of Famer this week on the After the Bell podcast with Corey Graves. So we'll get more of that coming up. Plenty to get into with WrestleMania. How do you round out the card here? There's plenty of other guys that are on this show that don't have WrestleMania matches yet. Obviously, you jump to a multi-man scenario. I think you could do something with the Intercontinental Champion. New champion Sami Zayn did not love the match at Elimination Chamber where he won it, but well-deserved nonetheless. A guy who's been in the fold and always very talented. What do you do with the undercard talent, those non-big main eventers?
Well, I think it's going to be some type of Daniel Bryan goes for the IC title at Mania. I think he wants to work Nakamura. I think he loves Sami Zayn, and I think who doesn't want to work with Cesaro?
I think if you want to do the thing, you want to do the Money in the Bank scenario where you put a bunch of the guys in the match for a ladder match. That would be pretty cool. I know Daniel Bryan won one of those before. It was back in San Francisco a few years ago. And when they did home of the 49ers, that's where it was. I think that'd be cool. There'll be some multi-man matches. There'll be the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, the Women's Battle Royal.
Now, let's get into a rumor, shall we?
Sure. Go down the rumor road.
Alex McCarthy, I believe, of
TalkSport in the UK.
TalkSport,
right? Yeah.
Was reporting a likely six-pack challenge for the SmackDown Women's title. And bro, you gotta stop at some point with this. Everybody needs to be on this card. Don't get me wrong. I'm a guy who loves a paycheck, and I get that that's why they're on the card. But build up a credible challenger for Bayley. Don't stick all 6 of these women in one match and go, but it's on Mania, and that's what makes it special. Because I'll tell you what, Becky Lynch and Shayna Baszler, which is supposed to be their equivalent, that's special. Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair coming out of the ashes from NXT, special. The SmackDown Women's title picture deserves to be a little more special than just a six-pack challenge.
Well, here's the thing. It's WrestleMania. Not everyone gets to be special. All right? I'm sorry. I'm in a world of have and have-nots. There's some guys and gals in WWE that don't get to have their big WrestleMania moment because if everyone did, it wouldn't mean anything.
But I'm agreeing. I agree with that sentiment wholeheartedly. Therefore, I feel like it's more important to me to build up a one-on-one match that can have some feeling than just say 6 women on the card and go. You know, like.
Or if you're going to do that Memorial Battle Royal, have it for the SmackDown Women's Championship.
Or for the right to face Bayley. I'd be okay with that.
That would be cool. Hey, if you win this Memorial Battle later in the night, you get to face Bayley. It's a common archetype in wrestling. I don't think it's a broken concept. It's a good way to use a bunch of different people and have some elevation, and you get to see a whole progress in one night. They did that. They've done that before. Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to it.
I would not be opposed to it at all.
All right, we're right before WrestleMania here. It's time to answer all those questions about what's going on in the world of wrestling. We're always an open book. Robert and I are ready for all of them. Fire them off right now if you're with us. And reminder, we're doing some cool stuff on WrestleZone.com. Have you seen what we're doing that's sort of a fun spin on the whole March Madness that I can't say? You know the basketball tournament with all the college teams? The March Madness. All right? We're doing our own version of that with theme music. It is theme music March Madness at WrestleZone.com. Go there for more info. We now have a first one. The Twitter poll is up, and I think this is really good. What's a better theme song for the American Badass Undertaker? Was it American Badass from Kid Rock, or was it Limp Bizkit's Rollin', Rollin', Rollin'? That Twitter poll is up now, and we'll have an entire tournament of the best theme songs in wrestling for the entire month.
Now, what's your take on that one?
I'm not a fan of Limp Bizkit.
I knew you have shocked me here with that news, sir.
But I'm going to say Rollin' just because it's fun. Just a fun song. But Undertaker during that period had shades of being a mean guy. So depending on what role he wanted to play, you know.
I can get with that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fan of. First of all, let me just say this: if you are especially a young kid around that time watching WWF, and you think you're not a fan of Limp Bizkit, you're a liar.
You're a liar.
And you know you're a liar because WWE beat it over your head with My Way and Rollin' and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. WWE made you a fan of Limp Bizkit. So thank you, Dave.
You were doing it all for the nookie. And
that's
if you're
right.
For anything else, you're a bold-faced liar.
That's right. And, thank you, David Sahadi.
Yes. When it was okay to wear a red baseball cap. Now, very questionable, depending on where you stand in the political spectrum.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, there we go. We'll jump into questions here. If you got them and you're with us live, fire them off. If you're with us on the Twitter or you're listening on the podcast side, you can fire them off there as well at WrestleZone.com. John Fiore saying, where is Sasha Banks? Where is she? Well, she's been back on SmackDown the last few weeks.
Yeah, you've been watching for the last couple of weeks, I guess.
Yeah. She is at the side of the SmackDown Women's Champion, Sasha Banks, which honestly...
No, Bayley. Sasha Banks isn't at the side of Sasha Banks.
One and the same. Switch them in and out. So I think that's a better position for her to be in than just being another person on SmackDown who's trying to chase the belt. I will say this. There's been reports that she's been doing some film and music stuff. That's why you haven't seen her in a while. And that she had some type of injury that kept her out of action. So that makes more sense. But the Sasha Banks stans online are just unreasonable. Like, they just don't get why she isn't the top star all the time. There are so many people that fawn over her in this way that is unreasonable. Is that fair to say?
What's funny, Kev, is I think that I do, and then I go online and I realize no, I don't, because these people are extreme.
Yes,
and that's with no E. That's with X. Like, they're going to lids. These people are intense, man.
And they're all faceless too. All their avatars are just pictures of Sasha. Why don't they have Sasha? If Sasha's, I heard some people say if Sasha's not the champion, the entire company's racist. I saw that tweet.
Well, wow.
Yeah.
Now that is something, but that is the presumptuous society that we live in. Here's the thing: I think Sasha Banks is getting that belt at Mania. Whether it's a 6-pack, 1-on-1, 4-way, whatever, I think Banks gets the belt.
Mm-hmm. People talking about it, they agree with you. You know, Adam Williams saying she'll get that belt and turn on Bayley somehow. So let's get into this. Robert Ray saying going over to AEW. Of course, Matt Hardy's still the big talking point. Last week, we reported that he has officially confirmed he's no longer with WWE, let his contract run out, despite being on Raw in the past few weeks. And the Young Bucks appeared on his web series, Free the Delete. Is the Young Bucks on Free the Delete any indication that Matt is the exalted one? I would almost say it doesn't say that he's the exalted one.
How about the fact that it's 3 a.m. on a Thursday night and AEW's Twitter is just out here spelling Matt Hardy? It's like random elongated acronyms. Like, what do you do? Guys, it's 3 a.m. Like, go to bed. what are you spelling out things?
It wasn't hard to break down either, too. They posted this kind of riddle, and every first line in the riddle, not Matt Riddle, every first line in the riddle was spelled out Matt Hardy. And he says he'll make a decision soon. He said he's talked to NXT. He said he's talked to NWA. He's talked to a bunch of different people. And he's trying to make it seem like he's not going to AEW, but that seems to be the indication. The Bucks were on your web series. That seems to be where you're going.
Even if he doesn't go there forever, he's going to AEW. Like, even if he Jeff Cobbs it and goes for 1 week, but like he's gonna go, he'll be there.
Now, the circumstance of how he gets there and whether or not he's just there, that's another issue. Are we going to see him in other places? If he goes to AEW, are we also going to see him in the NWA? Are we also going to see him in other companies?
Yes.
You know, you think so?
Yes.
What makes you think that?
Because Matt Hardy wants to do it.
Yeah, I don't think he's the guy who wants to work for one company right now. I think he wants to do a bunch of different things. Also, it's worth noting that he revealed to PWI Insider recently what WWE offered him to stay with the company. And basically, he said that they offered him, of course, a very nice financial sum to stay with the company and more creative freedom that would allow him to go form his own faction in NXT. And he would be utilized in that way. And he would be able to kind of go and do more of the broken stuff and have more creative freedom, because that does seem to be a big thing with him, where he doesn't feel like he can be as expressive under the current WWE scheme of things. He's over the age of 40. WWE does have a youth movement right now, whether you like to admit it or not. And putting Matt Hardy on TV every week might be an issue on Raw or SmackDown. Putting him on NXT where he can kind of guide people and compliment them, that could have been a good what if.
Anything is possible. I don't think it's out of the question.
Mm-hmm. Still in AEW, Bob Coaster said, will MJF be the guy to take the belt off Moxley? Well, we're still getting, I think, a bit of Cody and MJF in the future, and we're getting a bit of Moxley and Jericho, so not anytime soon. I don't think MJF needs the belt anytime soon, and I don't think Moxley needs to lose it anytime soon. What say you, Robert?
I don't think we get MJF until they're ready for MJF to take the belt off Moxley. I think he does.
Yeah. Let's see here. I'm looking for the next question that you guys have for me on screen. Sean Ian Reed, Killer Cross. Who is he signed with? He is signed with WWE. He has been for months now. They confirmed this on their website. He has been reporting to the Performance Center in Orlando, Florida, which will host. That will be the host of this week's WWE NXT, by the way. It will not be at Full Sail University. So
isn't that next week?
I believe next week. I may be wrong there. So Killer Cross has been having his own teased vignettes that do not show him. They kind of show the destruction of society and apocalypse and TikTok, which has always been his big thing that he talks about on social media.
I mean, I never... Killer Cross doesn't strike me as a TikTok guy. You know, that's for the kids.
Oh, you mean the app where he dances along and lip syncs to songs?
Yes, that's what I was going for.
No, I would not see him on there.
No.
Great interview I got to do with him a few months ago while he was still dealing with all the Impact legal stuff. So go back in the podcast feed and check that out.
I think he's going straight to the main roster.
I think they're going to do something with him on NXT first. I think
what's with the weird glitch interruptions
that you're seeing on Raw and SmackDown.
Mostly SmackDown, but yeah.
Mostly SmackDown. I think I have an idea what they are, and Bill Pritchard brought this to my attention. Ali. If you look at those broadcast interruptions in the images flash on the screen, they're a circle of individual lights. And in his synonymous symbol is a circle of light. He is chasing the light, chasing the positivity. Through the noise of negativity, he is the light of positivity. And that has been a note that he's been used. He's not been on TV in a few months. And this would be a way to reintroduce him to the fold.
Wow. Good eye on Bill Pritchard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And a clever way to bring him back, too. I think, just symbolism that works. People asking who is behind those glitches. We don't know if it is Ali, by the way. We don't.
You know what I thought about though? Like if Jericho wasn't working for AEW, these people would be like, "It's effing Jericho. Jericho's back. Save us!" Because like they're very Jericho-esque.
They are very Jericho-esque. It's true. Johan Penna saying, "Any news on New Japan yet?" Well, I can't tell you the New Japan Cup was canceled due to fears over the coronavirus. Stardom Professional Wrestling, which is owned by the same parent company as New Japan Pro Wrestling, has been presenting events with no crowd. And they have actually streamed those events this past week. New Japan does have their talent set to be involved with the Worlds Collide, the upcoming, War of the Worlds events with Ring of Honor. So Ring of Honor and New Japan once again working together. And New Japan talent will be featured on the Supercard show coming up the night before WrestleMania in Lakeland, Florida during WrestleMania week in Tampa Bay. So that is the latest news on New Japan right now. Certainly a lot more pressure in Asia than I feel that right now in the United States in terms of canceling events or doing events kind of around the fears of the virus right now.
I definitely see them canceling a lot of shows. I don't know, man. I think we still get a New Japan Cup at some point, and they'll make it up to fans. They have to, really, when you think about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's kind of weird they have this too because New Japan launching their own stateside shows, their own individual New Japan USA shows. So that's a kind of a lot of pressure on them with all those different factors there. Oh, this is interesting. We James once again back here in the fold. Robert, what do you think of WWE tweeting now not to trust a specific wrestling reporter from the dirt sheet? We've seen this.
I can't say I will not curse because we're gonna put this on YouTube. I love WWE on Fox for just being like, listen, guys, no Brad. Like if you're gonna post from sources, go ahead.
Yeah.
No Brad Shepard, no ringside news. Like my heart just warmed from that. Good on the WWE on Fox guy. Don't know who he is, but he's freaking awesome. It's great.
Yeah, we don't need to tell you who they're talking about. You can find it. It's not a reputable source, to say the least. No, that is not a shot at Dave Meltzer. So that's fine. Yeah, don't worry about it here. See, people, John Fury saying, who was the WWE employee who had the corona scare? Don't know anything about it. That is, we don't have any information about that. I wouldn't run with that either, by the way. I wouldn't run with any of that information, and it's not reliable at this moment. We're used to these questions. Jesus Ibarra, we just talked about how this affected New Japan, how they canceled an entire tour because of it, and how Stardom is doing events with no crowd. News that the NBA, the National Basketball League, is planning to have games with no crowd, possibly. Do you guys see that? Do you guys think the coronavirus could affect WWE and AEW live shows? At the moment, WWE saying they're going to do meet and greets with no touching. Last week, they put out a press release saying we are indeed moving forward with doing this event in Tampa Bay. Robert, you're in Tampa Bay. What is the sentiment there locally? What do you feel?
Like probably a lot of the same in Chicago. The sky is falling. Very much. Everybody's scared.
I think as the days go by, it does get a little bit more tense in terms of how many people are dealing with it, how many people are affected. We mentioned earlier in the show, Italy being on complete lockdown. It's bad enough that a quarter of the country, more than almost half the country, was put on lockdown in Italy. And that is the biggest country affected by the outbreak right now in Europe. In Chicago, I know they just reported 4 new cases in the state of Illinois. So, you get a sore throat and you get all scared now. So there's a lot of people that are just kind of spooked and scared. But, last night, Philadelphia, PA, that arena was full. That arena was full, and there's WWE fans that want to show up and go to WWE shows. WrestleMania is going to happen. I feel confident right now WrestleMania could happen. Could it change?
How dope would WrestleMania be with no people? Like, can you imagine everything just being an empty arena match? Like, just fighting all over a giant football stadium?
It would be very, very awkward. It'd be a really, really awkward experience. And then I would almost be like, why are you even doing it in an arena? Why even do it?
Because you can say for the first time ever, no fans.
Just do it in the forest. You know what I mean? Do it in a clearing in a forest. And like,
hey guys, I'm over here in 2020. Kevin is living in 3030. WrestleMania in the forest.
Mm-hmm.
For the first time, last time, only time. Daniel Bryan in a build your own yurt match.
Mm. Yerk. You're ridiculous here. Oh man. Yeah. Totally enjoying it here. I want to know, more importantly, what does the demonic impression within your body, Vince BROso, feel about this cockamamie issue here? I summon thee, demon Vince BROso, from within.
Kevin, I'm gonna need you to stifle. Kev.
Okay.
You gotta understand, you don't get it. I don't know how these freaking wrestling fans can devote their whole freaking lives to watching these guys work them every day of the week, and they don't get that this virus, the media is working you. Guys, it's the flu. Wash your freaking hands. Stop living in your mom's basement with the Dorito crust on your hands. Wash your hands. Listen to Sami Zayn's theme song while you're doing it. You feel good. And just wash your hands. It's a work. The virus isn't that serious. It's not that serious, bro. I don't know how people allow themselves to get worked this friggin' hard, Kev.
You know what they need?
What do they need?
Besides washing their hands, they need character. You need character.
Yeah, they need character. My God, you want characters? If you get out washing your hands, you got a bunch of little germ characters running around in your hands. Wash your friggin' hands. Stop letting the 0.1% of germs win and just wash your hands. Why you gotta be so friggin' gross about everything? Just do it.
Pretty ridiculous here. We'll be back with you tomorrow on the WrestleZone Daily. And of course, tonight after Monday at Raw with Dominic D'Angelo joining me as well. If you enjoy these podcasts on Facebook, on YouTube, on the podcast feed, wherever you get it, please share it with your friends. We want to be as interactive as possible. You hear us mentioning these names, they're on the virtual couch with us. So our currency to gain more viewers and more listeners is by you. If you don't enjoy the show, why are you even listening? All right. So if you did enjoy the show, pass it on to other people you think that will like what we do. Thank you so much for the support. Subscribe to WrestleZone Radio on your podcast app of choice. Robert, when you watch this wrestling, don't get worried. Don't get scared. Just wash your hands and what?
Enjoy wrestling.